Looking back, 2008 wasn't that terrible of a year for the WWE from a show standpoint. A lot of people like WrestleMania 24, and I say to a degree that it lived up to at least being a WrestleMania and was a good, solid show. And then you get here to SummerSlam 2008. In a lot of ways, I think it was what SummerSlam 2006 and 2007 weren't. While it wasn't a perfect show, I do remember really liking this show and thinking that it came across very well and actually felt like a SummerSlam should feel, which I think is very important. And going back and whenever I watch it again, I always leave at least a little bit impressed. Not the best SummerSlam of all time, but it was a good one. You start off with MVP versus Jeff Harvey. Mike Adamle. Good solid opener. Set the table very nicely. Much better than Kane and Finley the year before. That's for goddamn sure. The intergender tag team match where both the women's title and the IC belt were on the line. Glamourella versus Kofi and Mickey. It was fucking Santino. This is the type of shit that only Santino could do, Santino could pull off, and Santino could get over. Just for that alone, it has its own redeeming qualities. You had an ECW championship match between Matt Hardy and Mark Henry that lasted very little time. Let's put it that way. It was blink and you missed it. It was over, and Matt Hardy won via disqualification. In 2008, Mark Henry was your ECW champion because, again, when you think ECW, you think about Matt Hardy and Mark Henry. You know what I'm saying? But the second half of this show is where things really started to pick up. Actually, let me backtrack here just for a second. One thing that has to be pointed out about this show that really worked. Now, in general, I'm not a huge fan of promo segments on pay-per-views. I think they tend to be a lazy excuse for not booking more matches on the show, and I think they make things feel like it's TV, like something you would watch on Raw or SmackDown, which is not what you want with the pay-per-view, in my opinion. You want a pay-per-view to feel like people wanted to pay for this. People should have paid for this. However, there are those certain exceptions where those promo segments or those non-match segments on a pay-per-view can really, really work and really work well. A recent example of that, of course, is WrestleMania 30. You've got Hogan, you've got Austin, and The Rock. You want to pump people up. You want to get people excited about the 30th WrestleMania. There's not a match in the world that could have reached the level of excitement and overall awesomeness that Hogan, Austin, Rock in the same ring at a WrestleMania invoked. Just no way. No effing way. Nothing could have done what that did for that show right there at the beginning of the damn show. I mean, it's Hogan, it's Austin, and then it's The Rock. You feel the specialness. You feel the awesomeness. You feel just how unique this is. That's an example of when a non-wrestling segment on a show can really work. And I think the whole shit here between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, where Michaels is going to have to retire because of his injuries, and Jericho saying it's because of what he did to him, and then he fucking goes to swing at Shawn and he fucking decks his wife. I love this fucking feud between Jericho and Shawn Michaels. This shit was awesome. And this segment here on SummerSlam was awesome. There's no question about it. One of those segments that, like I talk about, it really works. And it's something that you're actually glad was part of the pay-per-view. And this year I definitely was. But like I said, wrestling-wise, the second half of the show really started to pick up some steam. You had CM Punk versus JBL for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't really know if I ever liked the dynamics of this feud. I don't really know if I really wanted to see this match all that much. But I will say, if nothing else, it was a good performance by your new World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, here, establishing that he was a World Champion caliber guy for the WWE. And this match, to me, if nothing else, did what it needed to do, minus all the blood from them colliding heads, I believe it was, mid-match. But Punk JBL was more important and significant for CM Punk than it really was anything good, but that's okay. The match still kind of worked, did what it needed to do. I'm still baffled at the fact that SummerSlam 2007, they had Batista versus Great Khali for the World Heavyweight Championship. So now come back to SummerSlam 2008, and you decide to put Great Khali in another world title match on your biggest show of the summer, and this time it's Khali challenging Triple H for the WWE Championship. Oh, God. He did it again. But this time, you have Triple H. And, for all the things I can say about God, this and that, he does have the ability to take slugs and get them to an average or passable match. And that's what he did here with the Great Khali. This, to me, was really a Triple H showcase. And I mean that. This really showed that Triple H could take nothing and make something out of it. That, to me, is what part of a good worker is, and that's what a Triple H is. Somebody that could take something that shouldn't work at all, something that has no business doing anything other than completely sucking, and making it not suck, and making it at least passable. And keep in mind that for the 2 world titles here, these were secondary matches on this card. And that was okay. In this particular time, in this particular circumstance, you needed to have a place for both of the title matches. But you knew neither title match was going to main event. Neither title needed to main event. Hell, neither title even needed to semi-main event on this show. This show was all about the last 2 matches on the card. And that was fine. And like I said, CM Punk JBL did its job. Triple H Khali, Triple H did his job, and he made that work, and I'll give him a lot of credit for that. But ultimately, like I said, this was a 2-match show in the sense that there were 2 matches that I think that everybody really wanted to see. Besides the CM Punk fanboys that wanted to see CM Punk successfully defend the World Heavyweight Championship. The first one was Batista versus John Cena, and this felt like that special attraction SummerSlam match. This felt like that big deal type of match. Batista, John Cena really hadn't wrestled each other a ton, really hadn't feuded with each other. Now you've got Raw versus SmackDown. Who's going to face off with who? Well, shit. Here's Cena. Here's Batista. Let's send them at each other. And it worked. It worked really damn well. Was the match the greatest piece of visual art you will ever see? No. Was it good enough to get the message across? I think so. Did it live up to feeling like a special attraction, big deal match, and it still holds up that way 6 years later? To me, the answer is still yes. Batista beating John Cena here at this time actually was, frankly, a bit of a surprise to me. I love Batista later on in 2010. Every time you get into the ring with me, I hurt you. I broke your neck. But I love this match. I love the elements of it. I love the unique feel of it. And I love the fact that it felt like that big fight special attraction type of thing. But ultimately, only one match needed to main event this show. And the right decision was made not to sit there and play around this. The feud that had main evented WrestleMania 24 was still going on. And now you have Undertaker versus Edge in a Hell in a Cell match. And here we get to SummerSlam. Maybe some people will say that Undertaker Edge, maybe Edge should have went over here in a Hell in a Cell, and maybe that should be the case, maybe not, but damn it all, these 2 guys had really good in-ring chemistry, and damn it all, this match really worked, and damn it all, this match was incredibly entertaining. I would argue maybe one of the 10 best SummerSlam matches of all time. Yeah, I said it, I'll go there, because this match was outstanding. 2 incredible performers doing their thing, and I think they topped what they did out there at WrestleMania 24 in this match. So when I go back and watch SummerSlam 2008, just like when I watched it back in 2008, I walk away impressed. Not the greatest SummerSlam of all time, but to me, this should be like the minimum standard of what a good SummerSlam show should be. Not everyone has to be a 92 or a 2002. No, they don't. But should they be something like a SummerSlam 2008 or a SummerSlam 91? And to me, the answer is yes. This is a show that had featured matches, a special attraction, big type of match, the matches that needed to delivered, and this really felt like the biggest show of the summer, which is what SummerSlam is supposed to be.